National Dual Language Model, Francis Scott Key Elementary, by Group 5, Jennifer Harrell, Sarah Lopez, and Bethany Llamas. General information about Francis Scott Key Elementary School. It is located in Arlington, Virginia. It is a dual English-Spanish immersion school for grades K through 5. The Key School is named after Francis Scott Key, who is one of the pioneers in the United States in two-way immersion programs. It was established in 1986, and in keeping with the two-way model, each class includes both native Spanish speakers and native English speakers. When did this program start and why? It was 1986, and families from Central America and Vietnam were settling in North Arlington. International students moved to the Key area as white families left, dramatically altering its demographics. Between 1990 and 2000, Arlington County's Hispanic population grew to 19% of residents, a 52.7% increase. The school changed quickly, becoming one of the most diverse schools in Arlington. A federal mandate requiring language instruction for English language learners led administrators to visit a bilingual school in Connecticut. Key drew inspiration from that trip, accepting its first class of students for a partial dual language program in 1986. I also want to mention that it was one of the few Arlington schools that passed state standardized tests just 4 short years later. The feat, recalled the past principal Myers, awakened a desire for bilingual education in parents who may once have been averse to the concept. Demand for Spanish immersion surged, spurring the creation of an identical program at an elementary school in South Arlington, Myers said. Parents and school district officials say Key's success confirms research showing that dual language education does in fact bolster student achievement. What is the model for language distribution? It is a two-way immersion 50-50 model. Spanish language arts, social studies, and science are in the morning, and they are taught in Spanish. English language arts and math in the afternoon, taught in English.
What is the biliteracy model and goal at the Key School? Biliteracy is achieved through instruction from 2 teachers. One of the teachers provides instruction in English and the other provides the instruction in Spanish or in the target language. The Spanish-speaking teacher is either native or near native in the target language. Students have the opportunity to learn curriculum in another language, which helps them gain higher levels of proficiency in both languages. Key School sets achievement goals for their bilingual students based on the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages performance guidelines. In their school, by the 5th grade, it is expected that the students will achieve the intermediate low range of proficiency. By the 8th grade, the students are expected to reach the intermediate mid-high range of proficiency. And then by the 12th grade, the students are expected to achieve a high level of proficiency, and upon doing so will be awarded the seal of biliteracy.
In studying Francis Scott Key Elementary, I found many connections to Strand 1, the program structure. First, their effective leadership. The principal, Senora Perdomo, speaks multiple languages, and she's a language acquisition specialist. She also was a contributor to the national guidelines that were developed by the Center for Applied Linguistics. The assistant principal, Senora Maldonado, also is bilingual and has experience in teaching Spanish. In their vision and goals on their website, they have published their belief statement that all students have the ability to be lifelong learners, that they all have the ability to learn in more than one language, and that they should be given the opportunity to learn and be aware of many different cultures and effectively communicate in more than one language. Their mission also included providing a safe and supportive environment where students feel free to explore, question, learn, and grow, and collaborate with other families in the community, and provide rich opportunities for cognitive, social, emotional, and physical growth. In equity in school environment, there was evidence that they encourage positive cross-cultural attitudes and behaviors and high levels of self-esteem for their students. The goals are the same for all children in the program, but the rationale is different for the 2 major language groups. Also, they took in many considerations for developing and refining their program, including the program duration, currently up to 10th grade, but they have plans for up to 12th grade. Their student demographics, they clearly have made sure that they've met the minimum of 1/3, and they aim for a half, 50% native Spanish speaking and 50% native English speaking in their program. Their language allocation has already been decided, and it has clear expectations of half the day being in English and half the day in Spanish. In researching the curriculum of Francis Scott Key Elementary, I was able to discover that they use a district-designed aligned curriculum. The alignment is with standards, district assessments, as well as the vision of bilingualism and biliteracy. There's inclusion of thematic and cross-disciplinary approaches, as well as the promotion of multiculturalism, linguistic diversity, and equity. There's also evidence in some of the case studies done many years ago that technology is valued at Key. When they first started, they had 19 computers, 9 printers, and 1 scanner. I'm sure since then they have grown in their technology, but you can tell that it was important and valued. Also, the teachers use teacher-made materials in all subjects to supplement textbooks, and they have a curriculum guide and units of study for the immersion program that was developed by the Key School staff. And one of the strengths of this program is the continuous development of units of study and curriculum guides.
Some of the connections I found for Strand 3 instruction at Scott Key School, where the instruction is composed of 50% Spanish and 50% English. Students remain faithful to the separation of languages, and when speaking to the teacher and when performing academic tasks. Science and health, math are taught in Spanish. Social studies is taught in English. Language arts, including reading in both English and Spanish. Key School encourages an integrated language arts curriculum. Special classes such as music, physical education, and library are taught in English. One of the strengths of the program is the continuous development of units of study in curriculum guides. Some of the instructional strategies that the school uses are speaking the appropriate language at the time of the day. Teachers model repetition to elicit individual students to speak Spanish. Cooperative and small group strategies are used extensively. Homogeneous grouping by reading level are created, as well as heterogeneous grouping when working on a project. Teachers also check for student comprehension of language and content. They use visual supports and speak clearly and at a slightly slower pace in the lower grades. Technology use is also another strategy used at Scott Key School. When looking at Strand 4, Assessments and Accountability, I found that at Scott Key Elementary, they have ongoing assessments, such as portfolios, which include writing samples of essays in English and Spanish. They use unit tests in each subject area. Comparison of writing samples in English grades 2nd through 5th and Spanish in grades 1st through 5th are used. SOPA, which is the Spanish Oral Proficiency Assessment, is used in 2nd grade. The last O, Language Assessment Scales Oral, is used in Spanish for grades 1st through 3rd to measure students' English language development in vocabulary, listening comprehension, and story retelling. The COPE Cal Oral Proficiency Exam is in Spanish in grades 5th. The SOPR Student Oral Proficiency Rating in all grades is used to assess oral language proficiency in Spanish for all immersion students in grades kinder through 5th. The DRP Degrees of Reading Power is used in grades 2nd through 5th. The ITBS, which is the Iowa Test of Basic Skills, is used in 4th grade, which includes subtests of vocabulary, reading comprehension, language, work study skills, mathematical concepts, science and social studies, and the Virginia Literacy Passport Test is given in 5th grade.
Strand 5 in the guiding principles is the recruitment and retention of highly qualified staff. On their webpage, it was very easy to find. They have a tab that is called Beliefs, and under their beliefs, they identified that one of their beliefs is to provide a safe, supportive environment. A second one was to encourage continuing learning opportunities and professional development for their staff. The third point that I identified was that their belief is to create an environment for the students, teachers, and staff which embraces learning with attention to personal growth and responsibility, development, and collaboration. All of those show that they are supportive and that one of their goals is to support their staff to have a positive workplace and that their staff is valued. Those are all things that were mentioned in our discussion of Strand 5. Strand 6 is family and community. Parents are to be major players in order to have a successful dual language program. They have a significant influence on the success of the program. In Strand 6, there was a lot of talk about ongoing training and professional development for all involved and for having a funded full-time position for a family liaison in the dual language program. One of the points that they brought out was having a positive school environment and a demonstrated valuation of languages. They also talked about having activities that would empower the parents and having high quality communication. What I found on the website for the Key School was the point that they provide opportunities to bring students, families, and staff together to celebrate and learn from one another. And they also interact with families to enrich cultural exchange and to promote a mutual understanding of the students' strengths and their needs. I also found on their PTA page that they have something coming up that's called the Fall Fiesta. And it looked like a lot of fun where they bring families and culture together. It's a potluck dinner, and so every family needs to bring a dish that will feed 8 to 10 people, but usually they get a smorgasbord because they have so many different cultures brought together in that one school. Strand 7 from the guiding principles is about support and resources. Support is incredibly important. That talks about funding, staffing, resources, professional development, and parental engagement. The point that was brought out is that dual language programs are successful due to the commitment of all involved. And one of the key components is to celebrate achievement. On the Key School webpage, I found a part where they are encouraging parental engagement. I added a quote on this slide that the staff welcomes and encourages your active involvement in school activities and your child's education. There are many ways for you to become involved at school and at home. Talk with your child's teacher and with the PTA president about opportunities to participate. One of the things that I love so much about this is that it was translated in 2 languages, Spanish and English, so that it could reach out to both parents, and it was a high quality communication. It was well translated on their website. Everything was in English and then again in Spanish. Another thing that I found on their website in a tab was the school's 90-day progressive plan. Every single campus in the district, but specifically I was looking only at the Key School, they had a 90-day progressive plan. There's a committee in charge of a plan, and it's an action plan, and it is a continual looking at the program, and they set goals that are within a 90-day reach so that they can work together to achieve those goals, with the whole intent is to support their staff, support the students, and to make the school a better place. Something else that I found in another place were the partnerships that they have. Escuela Key, or Key School, is proud to partner with Real Madrid, SRA, U.S. Department of Energy, Everybody Wins, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and Hilton Garden Inn. And one of the points that we talked about in Strand 7 was reaching out to different businesses in the community and places that you can use as a resource, and having partnerships so that you can provide that funding and the resources that you need in order to help your program to be successful.